afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the council meeting of Wednesday, the 12th of August 2026. I'd like to welcome all councillors, including Councillor Todd online, staff, those in the public gallery, media and those watching from home. First of all, I will call for apologies, and we are all here. I will also call for extraordinary business, and I've learned there are two items. I have an item relating to solid waste, which is due for consideration today, which will be taken in public excluded, and a report has been circulated. I will move that we introduce that extra item. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Wilson, you'd like to second that? Put the motion. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Thank you very much. Councillor Wilson.
Yes, I have an item regarding simplifying local government, which I'd like to bring before the council.
Thank you. And this is due to new information which has since arisen with the inclusion of ADC in the South Canterbury proposal, and this can't be delayed to a subsequent council meeting. So as elected members may wish to update the community now. So Councillor Wilson has moved that. Councillor Cameron, would you like to second that?
Yes, please, Mayor Liz.
Thank you. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Thank you. So we have two extraordinary business items. The first item will be in public excluded, and that will be addressed prior to item 21. The simplifying local government extraordinary item will come after item 13 in open meeting. Thank you. Are there any declarations of interest today? No. Thank you. We are going to start our meeting today with public forum, and we have a deputation from Lynn Historical Woodworking Trust. So I'd like to invite trustees Janine Holland, Merv Peck, Wim Melchers and Lindsay Holland to come up to the table, and I understand that Janine, you will be presenting to us. We do have a 5-minute time frame for this, councillors, and then welcome to ask any questions. So Janine, I'll just get you to pull the mic up right there so yes, everyone can hear you. Thank you. We'll start the timer now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor Liz and councillors, for this slot. I'm going to speak quickly to make sure I keep under the 5 minutes. So you've been introduced to our members who are here. So very quickly, we're here with reluctance to ask for council support today to secure our future at the Plains Heritage Park. So very quick history. Our museum founder, Bob Lynn, my grandfather, built a world-acclaimed collection of woodworking tools and lathes, which was exhibited originally at his home on Alpha Forest Road, and then for 26 years until this year. From the Plains, thousands of visitors, international and locals, have enjoyed free access to the collection. Now, we moved to the Plains in 2002 to co-locate with the K88 Trust on the encouragement of the former Mayor Murray Anderson, which was supported by council and funders at the time. It was an efficient use of that building and grants at that time. Our lease agreement with K88, later taken over by the Ashburton Railway Preservation Society, was based on after 5 years of rent, we were to move to a cost-sharing arrangement for the building. So over the last nearly 3 decades, our Lynn Trust has invested more than $80,000 in the building. We've been diligent, responsible occupants. We've taken our property maintenance seriously. This was intended as our forever home for the museum. In the last few years, we have been attempting to renegotiate to a cost-sharing arrangement. It's been unsuccessful. We had 2 in-person meetings with the Society earlier last year, and the agreement from parties at that meeting was that a cost-sharing arrangement would be produced. Instead, this year we have seen a significantly higher rental increase proposed with no transparent basis for that increase. Our Lynn Museum has always paid its own way. We haven't relied on the public purse, we charge no visitor entry, and we fund our outgoings through annual donations averaging around 1,000, and our trustees' judicious management of invested funds left by BOD to run the museum. We've had some revenue from our late trustee Peter Lynn through his sawmilling operation, but this has concluded, and the rent increase, which signals a 15% rate increase year on year for the next 5 years, is going to make our financial position unviable. We have a duty to manage this valuable collection and the funds available to manage it, and it would be irresponsible for us to agree to a lease that would eventually leave us insolvent. In essence, we are being asked to contribute more than the cost of the rental ARPS has with the Plains Museum Trust for the entire Heritage Park site, which is 12 buildings, and we sublet a quarter of one of those buildings. And more importantly, we have no transparency around these costs behind the rent increase and why the increases for the next 5 years are so significant. So we are considering as a trust whether we remain at the Plains if we can't reach agreement over this lease. We also believe the increase is contrary to the spirit of the Council's vision for the Plains. Your own decision on the 4th of October 2023 was that rent charged to the Plains Museum Trust would be set in recognition of the nature and community benefit associated with the site. We believe the same principles should apply to all occupiers. Our request today of Council is simple. We're prepared to fund reasonable and transparent costs for our share of power, cleaning, etc., for our small part of this original K88 building. But we'd like assistance from Council and the Plains Museum Trust to identify fair apportionment of costs for this part of the building. And we need assistance with mediation between the two parties to come to a resolution. This will allow us to finalise our cost-sharing agreement as agreed under Clause 5 of the original lease. We'd also like support from Council staff in the form of visits to the Plains Heritage Park to ensure that small user groups like ourselves continue to feel welcome on the site to showcase our heritage attractions. Council and the Plains Museum Trust have visionary plans for the park, and our preference is to remain there and be part of the future. We have new trustees, we've reviewed how we're going to keep our collection in great shape for the future, but we can't progress anything until this is resolved. We're seeking Council's help as these lease arrangements have caused a lot of uncertainty and concern for our trustees. And we really want to get back to the business of being a much-loved boutique heritage museum and continuing to share the treasures that my grandfather, Bob Lynn, built up. Thank you for the opportunity to speak, and we welcome questions.
Janine, you nailed it. That was pretty much 5 minutes on the dot. Councillors, do you have any questions for Janine and the other trustees? Councillor Cameron.
Thank you, Janine. Did I hear correctly 15% year on year? So 15% this year over last year, then next year 15% again and again and again. Is that, have I understood that correctly? Correct. And you have appealed that or written a letter and said that seems exorbitant or too much and nothing's changed as a result of that?
I guess our position is that earlier last year we had 2 in-person meetings with ARPS, and at the second of those 2 meetings there was an agreement around cost sharing, and we waited for that documentation which hasn't been forthcoming. And so now we have this rental increase, which we have indicated is not what we had decided early last year, and that is our preference. And that's what the lease indicates, which we're working off, and we've been there since 2002.
I'll go to Councillor Hooper, then Councillor Todd.
Thank you for the presentation. What part does the trust play in it? The trust rather than ARPS?
Do you mean the Plains Museum Trust?
Yes.
Is that what you're meaning? Yeah.
We understand that the Plains Museum Trust, which you obviously have set up, has a role, and we have spoken to the Plains Museum Trust about our concerns, and I guess they understand that we're bringing them here to council today because ultimately you guys are the owners of the site, and the Plains Museum Trust reports to you and administers, I guess, all the rules and the occupants on site. So I guess, you know, we have spoken to them, and we're interested in them being involved in resolving this as well.
Okay, but all the lease agreements are done with ARPS, is that correct? And if that's the case, how does your agreement, sorry for barging ahead with another one, how does your agreement compare to others? For example, the fire museum, etc. Are they going through similar?
As my father has just said, I guess it's horses for courses. There are different scenarios. The fire own their own building. I guess we're kind of maybe a bit of a historical anomaly in that we were, encouraged at the time way back to enter, a small part of this building and proceed towards cost sharing. So a lot of the other buildings, I think, are under council auspices. The Plains Museum Trust administering that lease.
We can check that out later.
Yep,
Thank you. Councillor Todd.
Thank you. Firstly, I'm disappointed really that it's come to this. Who controls the rental? Like who does the valuation to set those rental increases? Was it done by an independent person?
The rental increase, I don't think we're not able to answer that. I don't think we have the clarity we have, and that's something that we are seeking, transparency around what makes up that amount and the projection of 15% increases for the next 5 years. I guess the trust position is that we have a lease that is still in effect, which said after 5 years we were to move to cost sharing, and that is something the original trustees, because I'm a newer trustee, have told me they have attempted to renegotiate for some time without success. So despite all our best efforts, we are really seeking some external support from council as ultimately the property owner, and you have visions for the future for this site. We're looking for your support and the Plains Museum Trust to help us mediate this, resolve this.
Yeah, but it doesn't sound as though there's been an independent person setting valuations though, does it?
I guess we can't answer that. We don't have that information. It hasn't been provided to us.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Ellis.
Thank you, and probably just through our staff, I just want to clarify that particular building is owned by ARPS, but it's on our land. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So my question for you guys is and it's the tricky one, where to now? And mediation is one thing, and we'll have to obviously have a conversation at some stage around that. But then where to next if that organisation digs its toes in, and how can we assist you if it doesn't go down that path, or do we take it one step at a time, I suppose?
I guess, look, the trustees have expressed a really strong desire to stay at the Plains, and my grandfather Bob, when they set up this charitable trust, indicated that he always wanted the collection to remain in Ashburton District. It would be a massive undertaking for us to have to move what are very large, heavy items from that site. I know I can speak on behalf of my parents, have always enjoyed being part of the Plains and the community there. We are a perfect fit. We are history. That was a collection that was put together in this district, but it is recognised as one of the most important collections of woodworking items in the Southern Hemisphere. I would really love to see an appetite to support us to keep this collection in this district at the Plains.
Thank you, and thank you all for coming along today. I don't think there's any further questions. Councillor Ellis?
Thank you, and it's probably a question for us, not for these guys. What are we going to do next?
Yes, and I think
so that there's a follow-up from this.
Yeah, and I think that's something that we can discuss offline and come back to you. Yeah, but no, we appreciate you coming along and speaking to us. For all your supporters in the back row there, great to see you all. And yeah, we will be in touch. And thanks for making coming along for public forum. Thank you. You're welcome to stay and listen in, or welcome to head away. Up to you. Thank you very much. We do have a couple more presentations today, so we'll continue on with our agenda until those times arise, and then we will break off to the presentations. So first of all, we will go to the council minutes from the 22nd of July. They're on page 4. And just any corrections on page 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9. If not, Councillor Cameron, would you like to move that
Thank
they
you.
are taken as read and confirmed? Do I have a seconder? Councillor Hooper. All those in favour, aye. Thank you. Thank you. Next we have the minutes from the extraordinary council meeting on the 7th of August, which is on, sorry, it should be the 5th of August, on page 10, and whether they are true or any items to be corrected through to page 12. Councillor Wilson?
On page 11, we have two motions there. One, it says a show of hands go 5 for and 5 against, the motion lapsed. And the next one says a show of hands go 5 for, 5 against, the motion failed to pass.
Same outcome.
Same outcome. Just,
Yeah.
yeah,
Different wording, same outcome.
different wording. I thought the wording should be the same.
Yeah. Thank you. Any others? Otherwise, someone move and second that's been read and confirmed. Councillor Maxwell, Councillor Ellis. You're a second behind there, Councillor Todd. I'll get to you next. All those in favour, aye. Thank you very much. We have the Three Waters Committee meeting on the 22nd of July. Any amendments to be made on page 13 or 14, or any corrections, sorry? No, if not, can I please have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Hooper, Councillor Everest. All those in favour, aye. Against, carried, thank you. We now have the Audit, Risk and Finance meeting minutes from the, it's not the 8th of August, it must be the 5th of August, is it? Oh no, it was the 8th of August, sorry. Are there any corrections? And then we'll go to the recommendations there. Yeah. Okay. We might just pause there. We do have Angus McKay from MPI who's just joined us. Welcome, Angus. Can you hear from us? If you can hear us.
Thank you.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Thank you. It's great to have you online. You share a name with our former mayor and also a former councillor. So great to have you here. You've got about 10 minutes set aside just to speak to us if you need to take that time, and then we will go to questions if that's okay.
Is it all right if I use a few slides?
That would be wonderful. Thank you.
Okay. And I did used to get hotel upgrades using the same name as your former mayor, so it worked for me. Kia ora koutou, Angus McKay, I'm the Director of Avian Influenza for the Ministry of Primary Industries. So hopefully you can see the slides. So
Yes, we
just
can.
talking about this H5N1 high pathogen avian influenza. So avian influenza is a bit like influenzas that people get. There's lots of different sorts, there's lots of different viruses out there. Within birds, we've got the low pathogen stuff, and you could perhaps compare that to the common cold that goes around birds all the time. We've only had high pathogen one time before, and that was down in Otago, and that was a different sort that was where a low pathogen over lots and lots of cycles mutated into a high pathogen, and that was within a poultry operation. So in that situation, we had the virus within the poultry operation, and we were trying really hard to keep it within there. With H5, this has been going around the world since 2020, and it's this 2.3.4.4b specification. So that's the one that's really doing all the damage to birds, especially really high mortality with birds. But it also affects a whole load of mammal species. So things like seals, sea lions, that kind of thing, cats and dogs. But it is really low risk for human health, so that's a positive thing, I guess. With this H5 one, as it gets established in New Zealand, which it will do, we've been expecting this for a couple of years now as it's gone around the world. This is slightly different, where it'll be out there in the environment, and we're trying very hard to stop it getting into things. So it's a kind of a switch on what we had before. The important thing as well is that eggs and poultry are still safe to eat as long as you use safe cooking practices as you would normally. So just to give you an idea, Australia is about a month ahead of us. So the little black dots, that's where kind of like birds have come in. These pelagic seabirds that usually spend a lot of their time out on the ocean, and over the kind of the last month, we've had more and more of these single birds either wash up or drop on Australian beaches. So that kind of showed us that there was a reservoir of high pathogen avian influenza in the Southern Ocean somewhere. We then got the skewer on the beach and also the swamp harrier in Countinued. So the interesting thing about the swamp harrier was carrion-eating bird, and we thought we might have a reservoir that bird had eaten something and then become sick. What's happening in Australia at the moment is the red splodgers are where this has actually spilt over into native wildlife. So I think they've got terns. They're seeing high mortality in these local populations, and it's starting to spread a little bit inland as well. And that's typically what we've seen around the world, that you get the occasional seafaring bird that has it, and then it eventually gets into the local population of birds, and then it starts spreading everywhere. So for us, we've only had the two, and not put a lot to look in, and we've got surveillance programs, we've got people reporting all sorts of stuff. We haven't found anything else at the moment. But this kind of like is the threshold where H5N1 has reached our shores, and we're kind of in that next phase of response, if you like. So it might be tomorrow we get another one, it might be a few weeks, but we're definitely in that space of having H5. So I've talked a bit about the spillover. So what we'll likely see is we'll see more establishment of H5. We'll see some local, what we call mass mortality events, where a colony of birds will suddenly get really sick, and lots of them will die. And then probably, as we've seen overseas, one of our poultry operations will get this as well. And again, with chickens, it's about a 95% mortality rate, so it's going to be a real impact on the poultry operation. This is called One Health Response, so it's not only MPI, but it's also Department of Conservation and Health. we're doing an awful lot of work together, and we've got some objectives there to kind of reduce the impact on native species, keep our poultry industry going, keep the food supply going, and also protecting public health. When we move into the poultry sector, we do an awful lot of work with industry as well. So we've got the Poultry Industry Association and the Egg Producers Federation, and we have this government industry agreement, so we'll work with them about how we respond to this. I think the important thing there is we're not going to get rid of this. This isn't an eradication response. This is a moving to some sort of ongoing management for this. So if you look at the UK, they've had it for about 6 years. They still get a very cyclical wave of infection every year. We may not get that. It might be different in New Zealand. We don't get as many migratory birds as they get in that northern hemisphere. But to be honest, until it happens, we don't really know. So we've done a lot of work with local government as well. Working with councils around disposal. So for us, like big chicken operations, we might have to dispose of a lot of birds and litter. So we've got an idea across all the regions of what those disposal options might be, whether it's burying on farm where that's possible, using landfill where that's possible, or other options, and there's things like composting and things which are used overseas. We have a leadership role in the Biosecurity Act, but so do councils as well, and that's all about kind of like all of us as a team trying to address this problem rather than any one person. We've also provided some support, so about 3 million in funding over the last year or so, delivered through Te Uru Kahaka, which is the government association working with us. And we've been providing like comms advice, signage, PPE, plans, pretty much anything and everything. And we're kind of committed to keeping that going as we move forward. I've covered a lot of this, lots of public communications, and we've got a big comms campaign which is getting real good take-up at the moment. The MPI website has got some awesome information in, fact sheets, what to do kind of things, advice about PPE. And we're also, DOC are doing a lot of iwi engagement, but also that kind of ongoing vaccination of some of the critical captive populations they've got. Just to give you an idea of what we do, so where we got that one in Carterton, we thought there might be a reservoir or some dead birds somewhere. So we did a load of foot patrols, we went around all the lakes, we kind of tried to find it. We got a helicopter, went up and down the coast, but we just haven't found anything else. We also are ringing round all the poultry producers, helping them with biosecurity plans, providing advice, guidance, doing everything that we can really. And we've got a technical advisory group of some key people interested in this field, helping us kind of understand as this develops how they think it might spread or not spread, or what does it mean when we get a swamp area versus a skewer, all that kind of information. As I say, DOC are key partner in this. You've probably seen something in the press about them doing the vaccinations. So vaccination is always a hot topic. It's not a tried and tested solution. With the birds in captivity, you have to do more than one injection to build that immunity, and it will wear off over time. There's also trade implications, because a lot of our trading partners don't want us to have any bird flu, any high path. So if we vaccinate birds, we can't test them to prove there's no high path, so it affects our trade. Path ahead. We kind of know this is a long-term thing. That's why we've set up this new directorate. There'll likely be, as this spreads around, we'll get a lot more reports of birds on beaches or in parks or wherever, and we're going to have to with councils and with DOC and with all our partners, work through how we're going to go and clear up these places when we need to, and how we get rid of the birds. And then, you know, it's likely, as been seen in South America, it'll impact some of the seals and sea lions as well. So there's a way to go through this. We're kind of hoping for the best, but preparing for the worst, I guess. And that's it. That's my whistle-stop tour of bird flu. Happy to take any questions.
Yeah, thank you, Angus, and thanks for that update. Just a quick question from me. So the first point of contact, so if someone in our community sees one or more dead birds, is it through to MPI or to DOC?
No, so the best way of reporting things is to our 0800 number, 0800 80 99 66. Or if you go on the website, there's a page you can actually fill in details and photos and things. So we are getting lots of reports. We kind of ask for if you see 3 or more dead birds, because this is so you know, such a high mortality rate. If it's H5 bird flu, it's likely there'll be several birds that are dead in one location. But having said that, if there's anything anyone's not happy about, please give us a ring. And we've got a whole team that are replying. We've got incursion investigators who go out and sample some of the key ones. So if it's another pelagic seabird that we think might have this, we'll definitely go out and sample it and test for H5. We've also got a network of the animal hospitals. They do routine sampling for us. And we're working on some of the rehab centres and how we can support those with DOC to kind of like build that surveillance network as we go.
Thank you. I've got a couple of questions here from councillors. Councillor Moffat.
As far as the disposal of any sick or dead birds go, are there going to be sort of stations set up around the country, and what is that disposal? Do they get incinerated? What's the story?
No, so usually if it's just a single bird, so because this is low risk for human health, you just treat it like you would any other dead or, you know, bird. So probably double bag it. You know, if you feel like you need to wear a mask and gloves, that's fine. And there's some really good guidance on the website with fact sheets and things. But a lot of it can just go in the normal waste. It's where we get these larger. So, for example, a chicken farm, you know, the one in Otago, we dispose of about 200,000 chickens, so that's quite a high amount. So we'll certainly help that industry with finding a biosecure place to do it, and in that case it went to a landfill facility. But just the routine, you know, 1 or 2 birds, it's the same as you would do normally, basically.
Do you mind if I have one more question? As far as before you had the map of Australia up there, has there been any cross-infection into any other species, for example, kangaroos or other marsupials in Australia?
No, nothing like that. At the moment, that's still quite early in this incursion as well, so it's just the birds at the moment. What we've seen overseas is that the transmission into... so there has been some cows in America. It's where you've got that real close contact between birds and animals, and prolonged over a long time. So in America they have these really big feedlots with thousands and thousands of cows. You know, there's not a blade of grass in sight, and that kind of intensive farming is where problems occur. We're really unlikely to get that within New Zealand with the way that we do farming and things. It's not likely to happen. But you know, some of the more unusual species we have in Australasia, you know, it's not anywhere else in the world, so we'll find out as we go along, really.
Question from Councillor Cameron.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. It was very interesting. With people and viruses, the viruses sort of mutate and they become less virulent but more infectious. Is that going to happen with this bird flu? Like, well, does it mutate? I'm guessing not if it was from 2020 and on the other side of the world. I
mean, viruses do change, but this is where it gets really complicated with the DNA stuff, and this 2.3.4.4b, which is that very specific H5N1 bird flu. That's been around for a while, and that's the one we've seen spreading around the world. So where we've tested our two birds that we've had positive, we've been able to link it directly to what's happening in Australia. So we can see it's exactly the same kind of genetics as Australia. So this is what we've been expecting for quite a while now. So that seems to be the prevalent virus that's causing all the problems.
So the previous, 2.2, whatever it was, 0.2,
Yeah.
that wasn't so terminal, or was it equally as?
No, so high pathogen is always a problem, but it's kind of, this one just seems to have been around for years now, and it's not changing. It's just carrying on around the world.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Moffat.
I know it's an evolving situation, but where you get seabirds, you also get other marine life, and New Zealand does have some quite vulnerable marine species in our waters, dolphins and things. Will there be any monitoring of those species?
Yep, so if people it's always hard because animals die all the time, and like at the moment there's a lot of baby seals around, so a lot of those are kind of washing up anyway. But where we get reports of them, we're definitely interested in going and sampling them where we can. The other thing is around knowing where the big colonies are and making sure that we're keeping an eye on what's happening in those, because they're probably the big indicators that we've got this as a spillover into our local wildlife, is where a big colony of, I don't know, gannets or something, or a big colony of seals, we'll see it, much more likely to see it in those bigger colonies to a point where we can find it.
Councillor Hooper.
Thank you. I was just wondering if you could define low human risk. What exactly happens to a human if they get this?
So around the world there are a few cases where humans have contracted this, and again it's in these kind of strange environments. So a lot of the workers who work in these big American feedlot cow operations, so they're exposed to a lot of the virus, and possibly don't wear as good PPE as we would normally wear. They're the ones who are kind of getting it, and it's more of a, like you would get a flu. It's that kind of thing. So the risk of humans getting H5 is really low, and it's not as high problem for humans as it is for birds, for example. But it is a really, really small risk for humans to get this.
Thank you. It doesn't look like we've got any further questions. I've just got one for our staff. I guess that 0800 number is up on our website. Yes, it is, so that's good. Thank you, Angus. It was good to hear from you and get that presentation, and this has been live streamed, so I'm sure there's a few people watching from home. So we appreciate you taking the time to come and speak to us today. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
Okay, thank you, councillors. We'll return to the Audit, Risk and Finance Committee minutes. So I just need a mover and a seconder that we receive those minutes. Councillor Cameron, Councillor Maxwell. All those in favour, aye. Against, carried. Thank you. There are some recommendations to council from those minutes, and I'll go through them one by one. So there's the recommendation on the Ratepayer Assistance Scheme. Councillor Ellis, would you like to move that?
Good move.
Councillor Cameron, would you like to second?
Thank you.
Yeah. Any debate on that motion? So I'll just, for those listening in at home, this is around principal support of the establishment of the Ratepayer Assistance Scheme, subject to commitment from other key holders. And that council, subject to further due diligence, consider making an equity investment in due course, and notes any commitment is subject to final approval by council. No debate, so I will put that motion. All those in favour, aye. Against? Carried, thank you very much. We now have the insurance renewal recommendation, which is the sum insured for Te Whare Whakatiri to be increased, and that we will be having a workshop with. Is there someone that would like to move that motion? Councillor Maxwell, a seconder. Councillor Ellis. Any debate? No. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, aye. Against? Carried. Thank you. We have a motion on the status of previous audit recommendations, and that was just receiving the update of the status. Do I have a mover and a seconder for that, please? Councillor Wilson, Councillor Cameron. Any debate on that? No, I'll move, put the motion. All those in favour, aye. Against? Carried. Thank you. And we have the Bancorp Treasury Report, June 2026, motion to receive that. Councillor Todd, would you like to move that? Is there a seconder? Councillor Maxwell. Any debate? No, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, aye. Against? Carried. Thank you very much. Next we have the Biodiversity Advisory Group meeting from the 4th of August. And there is... Are there any corrections to that for those at the meeting? Otherwise, would someone like to move that we receive those minutes? Councillor Gilkison. Councillor Wilson. All those in favour, aye. Against? Carried. Thank you. And there
Excuse me, Mayor Liz,
Yes.
may I ask a question on
Yes,
that?
you
If
may.
anybody's here that attended, I didn't attend the meeting. It's got here, Forest and Bird have asked that Council urgently develop a plan to address the ongoing problem of wildings and conifers, romans and other weeds for the areas around Lake Camp and Lake Clearwater. And I do know that we've had working bees down there and tried to deal with that. And we've got Christian, our biodiversity officer, to undertake a report and come back to Council in February. That's the most urgent we could do, is my question.
Tony, I'll get you to comment on that, please.
Thank you, Mayor Liz. So the Biodiversity Advisory Group's next meeting in February, so that's the timing there. There is a proposal as a part of the LTP for Council to consider if it makes it through the business case process for Council to consider a plan of attack for that area.
Can I ask a subsequent question?
Yes.
Just for that area, Tony, is that what you're saying? I didn't hear what you said. There's a proposal coming, if it makes the business case, to Council to discuss a proposal for management of wildings in that area, is that what you said?
Yes, that's correct.
Councillor Everest, do you have a question?
No, just a follow-up comment to Carolyn's question. There's two things here, Carolyn. One is the wildlings are spreading onto, if you like, dock conservation land. And there's also the issue of wildlings on, I guess for want of another term, if we can call it privately owned land, some of the pastoral leases. But I guess the concern is for the farmers up there, removal of all the trees means removal of all conifers means removal of all shelter. And currently we don't have an alternative option, and that's something that I think we need to think about before we press too far on some of those issues. I'd just also say that the toilets at Lake Heron have been installed, so not yet working, but looking good.
Councillor Wilson.
It is one of the strengths of the Ashburton Biodiversity Group where that will be discussed, and we have all the different views around the table which will thrash it out in everybody's there effectively. That's one of the very big strengths of it.
Thank you. We have the recommendation there to endorse the revitalised Canterbury Regional Biodiversity Strategy. Would someone like to move and second that? Councillor Gilkison.
Second.
And seconded Councillor Todd. Any speakers for or against that? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you. I'll just quickly do the road safety minutes and then we'll go to Mike Hooker. So we have the Road Safety Coordinating Committee minutes on page 21. Just note if there's any corrections. If not, can I have someone to move and second that? Councillor Hooper, you'd like to move?
Thank you.
Councillor Maxwell, second. All those in favour, aye. Against, carried. Thank you very much. Okay, so now we are on to item number 10, which is the annual residence survey. And Mike, did he disappear? He did pop up on screen and then he sort of disappeared. So
yeah, he's coming, I think.
he's coming on. Okay. So councillors, you would have had a chance to look through the survey, and Mike will just give us an overview. Here he comes. Hi Mike, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
Oh, good, good, thank you. We have the report in front of us, and we've got Mark and Tony at the top table as well. But if you'd like to go through the report, that would be fantastic. Thank you.
Yes, I would love to do that. Just bear with me for a second while I bring up my screen, just sharing my screen now.
And just a quick question. Would you like to go, I don't know how many slides you have, but go through the report and then take questions at the end, or are you happy to have questions throughout?
More than happy to take questions throughout.
Okay.
I probably have about 20 to 25 slides to work through, but either way works for me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to present this afternoon. As introduced, my name is Michael Hooker. I'm the Director of Research at Key Research. And this is the summary presentation of the satisfaction survey for the 25-26 year. If you have sat in these presentations previously, you'll know the format. So I'll kick off by just running over the objectives of the survey before moving on to discuss the methodology itself. And then we'll move through some of the key findings. And so we look at the KPIs and how they're tracking and what other additional insight we have been able to see this year before moving on to the conclusion itself. So a survey sets out to measure how satisfied residents are with all of the services and facilities which have been provided by the council. Importantly, we want to measure how perceptions are changing over time, whether perceptions of performance are improving, and importantly, whether or not targets are being met as per those set in the annual and long-term plans. So this is the 7th year now that we've been operating methodology whereby we invite residents through letters posted to them from the electoral roll to participate in an online survey. We get a really good response rate using this method. You'll see there that we've also been able to build a database of email addresses of those who wish to participate in these surveys, and that number is now almost 900 residents. We get a really good response rate through that email database as well. So we've got a really good robust sample of 807 residents to analyse that. So I mentioned we use the electoral roll as our sampling frame, and this is the best sample frame that we can achieve for residents across the district. We're good at targeting the demographic and geographic characteristics that we require, but it's not perfect. So after the data has been collected, we do some weighting of the sample, and then we have a perfect representation or profile of the district's population aged 18 plus. You'll see there that we collect data over 4 ways across a 12-month period. It's a really useful way of being able to isolate where anything of a topical issue, for example, or seasonality may be having an effect. So that's our rationale for collecting data.
Mike, I've just got a question. Sorry to interrupt.
Thank you. Thanks, Mike. I note by using the electoral roll, presumably then that's minimising the impact of the younger voice in the survey. Do you think that's a gap, or do you think that's been addressed when the family does the survey together, or?
In actual fact, we think it's the opposite. We get really good response rates across each of our age groups, and we can see that through the profile that we have been able to achieve. If we were to try to use other methods other than the electoral roll, we would probably have an even lower level of response from younger age groups.
Okay, I'm thinking more like like 16 to 18-year-olds or whatever. They wouldn't be on the electoral roll, would they?
Yeah, correct. So the sample is 18 plus.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
No worries. And I just wanted to ground the rationale actually for the survey and why the survey matters at this particular point in time. There's 4 points that I wanted to run through here. Firstly, the survey is the only independent, robust mechanism at play at the moment for collecting a representative community viewpoint. So what the survey allows us to do is move beyond anecdotes and social media commentary. So we have a really strong mechanism at play here at the moment. It's non-biased, it's considered, and what we mean by that is that residents are able to answer what are fairly complex questions quietly in their own time, possibly over a period of time as well. We talked about the best practice sampling method, and because we have a really good robust sample, we'll be able to do some powerful statistical analysis off the back of that as well. The survey tracks changes over time, and this is important because it allows visibility of whether the investment that you're making and the programs that you are putting in place are actually making a difference. And it tracks community sentiment, and this is important because we often find that your scores are reflected in things which the council might not actually have direct control or influence over. The survey supports better decision making because you can prioritise resources and influence communication programs if need be. And the final point on this slide, perhaps one of the most important, is the survey measures satisfaction targets that the council has committed to in the annual and long-term plans. And I should also point out that every year we are requested by Audit New Zealand to substantiate and corroborate the survey work that we've conducted for the Ashburton District Council. Okay, so on to the findings themselves. So this is the highest level metric that we have here. So this is the overall performance rating, and really it's telling the story. For the past 12 months, it has remained stable at 73%. So we saw there over a number of years a really nice rise in perceptions of performance, and this has levelled out over the previous 12-month period. We measure 61 attributes in total, and 17 of those had showed some level of improvement. So these are the ones that are showing the biggest level of improvement. We've got a real mix here around customer experience. Bit of a different profile to what we've had in previous years. And last year, for example, we had some really strong improvements of perceptions of infrastructure, and particularly around roading. Conversely, if we look at where the biggest decreases were, this is probably one of the most probably disappointing results, is a decline in perceptions of the quality and standard of unsealed roads across the district. Her further slide to sort of talk about that in a little bit more detail later on. So look at some of these other key infrastructure metrics that we capture through the survey. So this is a satisfaction with drinking water supply. And we do see some declines there in the Methven and require water supplies over the previous 12-month period. Comments that we were receiving back were that residents were dissatisfied with the quality of water, the taste, and the smell, and comments around the water having some sort of chemical element to it. These are the top performing areas from 2026, and we should point out that generally almost all of the measures that we have in the survey return very high levels of satisfaction. This is a typical profile here, and you see again very high levels of satisfaction for each of these facilities and services which are provided. We have a number of open-ended questions throughout the questionnaire. This is feedback to residents for dissatisfaction with the council's overall performance, and again, not too much of a surprise here. We generally see a lot of comments based around quality of the roading network, or things to do with the roading network, and comments around rates and value for money. And we said the interesting thing about this slide is that value for money component has grown in level of significance. So we're receiving more comments around value for money this year than we had last year.
Can I just go back to the roading issue, and I think you just mentioned it before, that people who are doing this survey might not necessarily define the council roads with state highways, or is that a specific question you ask around the local roads versus the state highways? Or because if people see a pothole just out of Tynwald, they'll think of the pothole on the road and not necessarily that that's a state highway.
Yeah, that is correct, and so we see that. In actual fact, what we need to make a clear distinction around unsealed roads and sealed roads, particularly for that reason as well.
Yes.
And we see here that the perception of sealed roads has stayed really stable over the previous 12-month period, and the declines in levels of perception are occurring across the unsealed roading network.
Thank you.
And in actual fact, and those declines happened in the wave 3 and wave 4 of this year. You'll see the differences here on the side and perceptions between those who live in Ashburton and those who live in the rest of the district as well. This is a typical profile that we would receive as well. So those who are living in the township actually give better ratings and higher ratings than those who don't live in the Ashburton township. Satisfaction with rubbish and recycling remains very high and stable across the previous 12-month period. So this is the scores for the satisfaction with the rate spent. So we see a slight decline there, nothing too unusual given cost of living pressures and other sorts of cost pressures which residents are experiencing at this time. The EA Network Centre generally returns high satisfaction ratings, and that has continued. So we have a question in the questionnaire which focuses around services or facilities that residents would like you to spend more on. A typical profile. This is what we had received last year as well. I've already mentioned the fact that residents will default to the roading network when they don't have any other areas of dissatisfaction or any hot topics that they would like to raise at this point in time. These are the types of facilities they would like the council to spend less on, and again very similar sorts of things to what we received through the 24-25 year. So we have a number of questions where we are measuring perceptions of the Ashburton District and the council. Well, the interesting line here is the green line, which is representing the confidence that the Ashburton District is going in the right direction. And this is quite an interesting result, particularly given that overall performance levels have remained stable. You can see here that very high proportions of residents think that the district is a great place to live, and they're also very satisfied with the performance of mayor and councillors as well. So it's tending to put the focus back towards that value for money aspect that I mentioned earlier in the presentation, and there's something happening within that which is causing residents a little bit of concern. Slight decrease in the levels of perception that Ashburton was better than it was compared to 3 years ago. We started measuring last year differences across a number of demographic and geographic characteristics that we capture in the survey. So we're just pointing out some of the significant differences that we can see, and this is the differences between those who live in the Ashburton township and those who live in the rest of the district. We'll see the drinking water supply there. Obviously, if you live in the district, live in Ashburton, you're much more likely to be satisfied with the drinking water supply than in other areas of the district. And the sealed road network as well, we've spoken about that, and these results are reasonably consistent year on year. And these are the differences, significant differences across age groups. And we identified this for the first time last year, and this effect is still apparent. And in fact, in some cases, the disparity has grown. And I guess it's just something to be cognizant of. There are the people in age 18 to 34 are a lot less satisfied than those in older age groups, and this pattern kind of extends across these other age groups as well. So if we look at overall performance, for example, that's quite a big difference in satisfaction with the council's overall performance between the younger age group and the oldest age group.
Got a question from Councillor Cameron, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Yes.
Can you just go to the previous slide, please, slide 20? When you look at, we're looking at significant differences between the Ashburton Township and the rest of the district. Property information services, I don't understand how that, I presume our property information services would be consistent throughout the district. Was there any elaboration with regards to that question in particular?
Sorry, what was the question?
Yeah, you might need to speak into your mic. Yeah.
The property information services overall, what is that, LIM and PIM and titles, and so I assume that would be the same throughout the whole district. Was that question elaborated on in the answers so that we can think how we can improve that?
That would be the question. And so we can go back into the questionnaire and we can look at areas in which there was dissatisfaction or dissatisfaction expressed with that, and that question is in the questionnaire as well. So we do have that information available to us.
That would be quite interesting, I think, because we pride ourselves on a consistent service. So that would be quite interesting to see why that disparity has arisen.
Got a couple more questions, Councillor Hooper.
Thank you, Mike. The dissatisfaction for the younger people, the 18 to 34-year-old bracket, is that something that's a trend you're seeing over all of the councils that you do?
Yes. Yeah, I'll just move forward to that side, if you don't mind. Yeah. So this has become apparent across most councils that we work for. So we're working for 24 councils across New Zealand at this point in time. But in saying that, this disparity has only become evident perhaps in the last 3 to 4 years. But it is significant and is of this level of significance for lots of other councils as well.
So the disparities become, are you talking just about Ashburton or for all of the councils over the last 3-4 years.
Yeah, lots of other councils
Oh, okay.
over the last 3 or 4 years,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. Thank you. We'll continue.
Yeah, and then just have the conclusion slide. So we're saying in general, the overall performance has held up well and is stable at 73%. Most facilities and services continue to be rated highly, and that's a point to take away, is that generally levels of satisfaction across the district are high. Satisfaction with living in the district remains high. Confidence in elected members remains strong. So we saw that decline in confidence that the district is heading in the right direction, but it doesn't appear to be a single issue decline. It's perhaps driven mainly by perceptions of value for money. We see the perception of the quality of unsealed roads declining, and we just make the note there that it did come off a high from the previous year. We see the differences between urban and rural residents for roading. That's a typical pattern as well. But we do note that roading is a key driver of perception, and we know that when we examine the verbatim comments and we see the strength they're coming back through in terms of the groupings pertaining to roading. Interestingly, we saw satisfaction with environmental outcomes declining. I've just pointed out the differences there between the age groups 18 to 34, much less satisfied. We've already mentioned the value for money component a couple of times. It's become more prominent this time around, but given how strong each of the other metrics are performing, we think that it's probably around spending priorities and residents wishing to see more evidence of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillors, any further questions on that report? Councillor Wilson.
Would you normally see a relationship between roading, going down, and the people are willing to spend more money on it? Because that's an easy one to extrapolate out. And do you see that in other councils?
Well, we do actually have that question in the survey, and we had 92% of residents stated that they would consider paying more rates to see improvements in the roading network. Generally, the driving model that we would use for other councils, we would see that particular attribute not being a strong driver. So it's more around the image and reputation and performance of the councillors and the elected members that generally drives the overall level of performance.
Councillor Todd.
Thank you. Just going back to the age grouping, 18 to 34, who are disillusioned. That, to be fair, that age group probably don't vote either, do they? Like they're disconnected from local government and even voting at a national level. Would that be true or not?
Is that a question of me?
Sorry, it is. Sorry, one of our councillors is online, so that's a question to you. Did you hear that?
No, sorry, can you repeat that?
Just going back to the age group of 18 to 34, that age group, while they're disconnected from local government, they also don't vote, do they? That age group don't. They don't tend to participate in I suppose politics as a general comment. So while they're disillusioned, they're also disconnected as well. Would that be true or not?
There may be some truth to that. I would say that there are lots of pressures coming onto that particular age group, which perhaps affect their perceptions. We do get a very good response rate, however, to our survey, and not just for across the Ashburton District, but for all the other councils that we work for as well. So I'm not too sure about whether they are that disengaged. Maybe they just don't get the chance to participate in the way that they would like.
Okay. Thank you.
Councillors, any other questions for that report? Councillor Everest.
I'm just quickly scanning through, Michael, but the dissatisfaction of the 18 to 32s and the use of media or where they find their data, did you actually have any information on that? There's a graph, I was just trying to pull it up, where you've looked at whether it's Guardian, whether it's website, so on and so forth, but I don't think it was broken down on age demographics.
Yeah, we do. We do have that information available. My apologies, I don't have that to hand, but I can provide that.
Thank you.
That would be useful, thank you. Councillor Ellis.
Thank you, and this is more of an internal question. So we've had this done now. What do we do with this information and how do we use it moving forward? Because if we don't look at it and use it in some format, there's no point in doing it. So I know it rolls into some of our, LTP this time thinking it'll be, but I'm thinking around that engagement with those 18 to 34-year-olds as well. So how are we going to use this information we got from the survey?
Tony or Mark?
I'll go first and Mark can jump in. Thank you. So yes, you're correct. There's a large proportion of the survey results feed directly into our annual end of year non-financial performance reporting. So you'll see those flow through into that report later on in the council meeting. Each of us as GMs are deeply interested in our worlds and our respective responses that we receive through this. So that helps to inform what we think we need to improve on and how that flows through into our conversations with council as we build into the LTP. So we pay a lot of attention to these. We might touch base with Mike and just dig in a little bit more around, particularly with Councillor Everest's question with information and that particular age group to see if there's something amiss there. But it's a very useful and data-rich source of information for us as officers to use, and we glean over it.
Thank you. No further questions. So thank you, Mike. Thank you for coming along and presenting that to us. It's always good to get an overview and very always interesting reading. So we appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
Councillors, we just have a recommendation there that we receive the 2025-26 Annual Residents Survey Report. Do I have someone that would like to move and second that? Councillor Moffat, Councillor Hooper. Oh, sorry, Tony. All those in favour, aye. Against, carried. Thank you very much. We are now moving to item number 11, which is the formation of Regional Spatial Planning Committee with Ian here. And thanks, Ian and Brad. Councillors, any questions on this report? There's quite a bit there. Councillor Everest.
I guess not a question on the report, but just an issue of clarification. Given the program Head Start work that's going on at the moment, how will that alter how we need to reflect that within our Regional Spatial Planning Committee?
Hamish, maybe you could just sort of do a wee explanation of how that will work.
Yeah, so the requirement for a regional spatial plan is contained in the review replacement legislation for the RMA, the Resource Management Act. That's emerged from the Select Committee and we expect to be finalised by Parliament before the election. That contains an obligation for a region as currently described to develop a spatial plan for that region. That region in our case is the current Canterbury region from Kokora to the first bit of Waitaha, and that obligation sits with the 10 territorial authorities and the regional council, ECAN, jointly together to develop a spatial plan for that region. Thus far there has been no changes to that requirement because of separate reform under simplifying local government. So regardless of that reform, the existing Canterbury region has the obligation to prepare a spatial plan for that region. One of the matters as this process gets towards its final stages in 15, 18, 24 months' time is that each council must approve it. So one of the things the Mayoral Forum and the Chief Executives Forum and the planning managers have been very mindful of is to ensure that each of the 10 councils and the regional council have involvement and meaningful impact as to how the plan gets developed, because in the end they have to adopt it individually at the end of the process. And you can see a difficult process unfolding where parts of the region may have different views towards the end of the process to whether they should adopt it or not. The obligation is on each and every council to prepare this thing. So the simple answer is the simplifying local government reform has not thus far impacted at all on the obligation for a regional spatial plan based on the ECAN boundary.
So just, if I may, I supplement you on that, then is there any change to the I understand what you're saying in terms of requirements, but should the program go ahead, there'll be a change, should Head Start and the likes go ahead, or amalgamations go ahead, then there's likely to be a change in the makeup of that committee ongoing, but not necessarily at the early stage. Is that envisaged? How do we work that through?
I think if you look at the timing, there are actually parallel pieces of work that sort of work in that even through Head Start, the current councils run through till the 2028 elections. So those councils exist and can continue to play their role in this and meet their legal responsibilities right through to the 28 election. Or by the time you get to the 28 election, I just have to compare the dates, and Brad might be able to help me. But by then, the expectation is the regional spatial plan will be essentially done. Give or take the timeline not working quite right at the end, but the vast bulk of the spatial plan will be done by the current councils regardless of Head Start.
And just, if I may, just final question, how do we come about our funding contribution of 9.8%, please?
So the Canterbury Mayoral Forum has a long established cost sharing arrangement across the 11 councils that has stood the test of time for many years. And as new chief executives and new mayors come into the Mayoral Forum, they'll often wonder why it is what it is. But it was based back in the day on a formula that everybody accepted, and it's broadly stood the test of time. You could argue now that it needs revisiting, but for every little bit like your overheads examination, for every change you make, there's a consequential impact on someone else. And so generally speaking, it stays as it is, and it stands the test of time, and 9.8 has been our share for at least the last decade.
So whilst it might stand the test of time, we're paying half of what Christchurch pays. How is it based?
No, we're not paying half of what Christchurch pays.
Well, Christchurch is paying 20.5% and we're paying 9.8. That's pretty much close to half to me.
But the regional council is also making a contribution, and most of the ratepayers are in Christchurch.
Sure. So, I mean, they're 20%, but our community, in our own part, is paying 9.8% and Christchurch City's paying 20.8%. Doesn't seem fair to me.
But as I say, the regional council, most of the ratepayers are in Christchurch for the regional council, so Christchurch is paying significantly more than just the council share. But anyway, we could do a big piece of work on it. It stood the test of time across the 11 councils for a very long period of time.
A few more questions. Councillor Ellis.
Thank you. I have a fairly basic question, I suppose. Can you tell me what a spatial plan is, and for the people listening at home, and actually what's in it, and then why they cost so much?
Yeah, so this is the biggest change we're getting with the reforms is a spatial plan. It's similar to a land use plan that we currently have in terms of the actual maps, but it's much more strategic and looking long term. The biggest benefit is it's going to signal where we want to grow when, so for things like infrastructure, not just for council, but any infrastructure provided in the country, including central government, will have to give effect to it. So it'll give us a really nice, clean, long-term direction, hopefully save us money, so we're building, the right pipe in the right place at the right time.
Councillor Cameron,
Just a couple of questions.
right into Mike, please.
The $71,000 is for the next year, per annum for the next 2 years, is that correct? Going in the long term, we've put that in the long?
No, it's just for the next year. It's just in this current year.
This current year?
Yeah.
Okay, so we need to allow for that, presumably.
We've got it in this year's budget.
Yeah, and so what about going forward? Do we have, if that you've said that the bulk of the work may well be done, so it may not be greater than that going forward?
Oh, no. If the cost of the spatial plan is $10 million, we will have a 9.8% share of that, so $1 million.
So $1 million?
Yes. So the Merrill Forum, it will almost obviously have to be paid for by debt, and we'll be paying our share of the debt over the period of how that loan is raised. The Merrill Forum has resolved to ask ECAN to raise that debt on behalf of the region. The Regional Council Chairman has advised he won't be supporting that request when it gets to his council. If they don't agree to raise the debt, then logically Christchurch City would be asked next to raise it on our behalf, and then our repayment obligations would be made back through to the city. To the city,
okay. Mayor Liz, can I just ask one more question? Yep. The RMA has been repealed, is that the word, or gone? And the RMA, when we had our district plan, or have our district plan, the RMA could be appealed, and our district plan may or may not hold water. Do you anticipate the same problems or concerns going forward?
So there are appeal rights within this. It's pretty narrow for the spatial plan. Okay. But the spatial plan will be followed by a land use plan, which is more like a district plan is now. There are less, in some areas, significantly less appeal rights, especially for merit-based appeals. It's mostly on points of law. Mm-hmm. But regulatory relief is likely to create a lot of appeals. So it's unclear if there will be less or more overall.
Okay, thanks.
Councillor Gilkerson.
Thank you. When you were talking about spatial plans before, you said that they are created for the long term. What's the long term?
Minimum of 30 years, but for some infrastructure projects, there's nothing to stop us going beyond that. So if there was a very long-term vision, which costs would be significant for, you could signal it in the spatial plan now.
And, sorry, I've got another question. What work are we doing in-house for the Ashburton District that will feed into the Canterbury spatial plan?
That hasn't been clarified yet. The contents that will be in the spatial plans hasn't been clarified either. Once the legislation's passed, we need national directional national instruments to be released by central government that will give us more clarity on what is actually going to be in the spatial plan. At the moment, we have a rough baseline of what we would do under the RMA. So there is a fair bit of it, but it's just there isn't enough clarity at the moment, unfortunately.
Okay, so the creation of this committee is just planning for that next step so that when it happens, it's ready to go.
Absolutely. It's a really good point you raised. There's many people who think the time frame to prepare a regional spatial plan is extremely short and very tight. And for a complex region like Canterbury, 10 territorial authorities and a regional council, biggest land area of all the regional councils in New Zealand, big differences between urban and rural land use, that there is a significant piece of work here, and that the Merrill Forum has urged all the councils to be ready, so that as soon as the timer starts, once the legislation passes, we don't then start to think about structures to get underway. We've got it all in place and ready to use that time to the maximum available to us.
Councillor Wilson.
We'll have an appointment on the committee and an alternate, and from what I've worked out, there are one of 14 or plus people on that committee. How will we report? Because obviously that one person it's big things happening. How will they filter the information back to council and then councillors in the community get a view which can be led back up. How will we structure that from our point of view as a district?
Yes, well, we can do whatever we need to do that. There will be formal reports and minutes that can be circulated to councillors. There will be opportunities for regular workshops to make sure that the representatives understand the perspective that that this council has. There's many layers to this, so the planning managers will be working collectively and collegially as well on some of the detail. The chief executives I know are talking about having a shared role over the oversight, and then of course there's the all-important governance layer as well. So there are multiple work streams, multiple layers of our local government system going to be working on this process. So we need to give it a little more thought, I guess, as to formally feedback, but we acknowledge the need to do so. And it rests around, at the end of this process, it's the council itself that will needs to approve it. So it needs to be satisfied that it's been included to the greatest extent possible.
I probably draw attention to the regional policy statement that ECAN tried to put out, and our community rallied around, and we had a complete community voice to back us up, and we used that voice to our benefit to push it through. So I think that would be something I think we should investigate part of this process, because that would be a great way of bringing our community with us, which then means our council, when it comes time to adopt it, has the confidence to adopt it, knowing the community is behind them.
Yeah, and one of the things that we're also conscious of course, that this council alone, alongside its neighbours separately, has an obligation to prepare a land use plan. And so that will be where this council will be, I don't say primarily focused, but it's the only one that can do the land use plan for Ashburton. So that's a companion plan, if you like, that has to be consistent with the spatial plan. So this is the spatial plan, the umbrella for the region. We've still got all our own obligations to prepare a new land use plan under the new legislation. And there are certainly estimates that will be as expensive for Ashburton as the regional one will be for the region. So you'll see when you get to the LTP, significant ask to prepare the land use plan in conjunction with the collective nature of the spatial plan.
Okay, two more questions. Councillor Moffat.
I noticed that the regional spatial planning program governance structure is proposed and it's 5 layers, and in light of we're meant to be simplifying local government, will there be another proposal with a simpler version of that?
No, this is the proposal you've got. You can accept or reject or potentially try and edit. This report, or something very similar, has gone to 11 councils to get the thing underway. If all 11 councils have a range of ideas to do it differently, we will use up a lot of time just getting it set up. So I acknowledge the point that you're making. It may not be perfect. It may not. Maybe it can be improved. But if each council now spends time polishing the structures and they're not the same as everyone else's views, we will spend months trying to establish a committee.
Do you mind if I have one more?
Very quickly,
Sorry, it's
so I
just
need
about,
to move on.
Richard brought up the representation, so who will be our representatives on that?
So that will go into the recommendation, and my view is that the mayor would be the representative with the deputy mayor as the alternate. Councillor Everest.
Yeah, I don't accept CE's explanation for our split, and I just reworked those numbers through. Of our 71,000 that we've got to pay this year, 17% of it goes in administration. So we're actually donating 11 or 12 grand to Christchurch City for the exercise. However, my question is, in bullet 36, which is relating to voting, we require unanimity or general agreement characterised by the absence of substantial support. Are we actually going to achieve anything here?
Sorry, I've just lost the clause you're referring to.
Number 40, under voting, 36.
36.
42, okay.
It's not page 3.
We need unanimous support or characterised by sustained, with the absence of sustained opposition.
That's the terms of reference for the group. Is
Correct.
that what you're talking about? Yeah.
Correct. Well, that's what we're talking about today.
The Mayoral Forum has tried to suggest terms of reference that acknowledge the legal obligation to establish a joint process, acknowledge that that process requires everyone to agree at the end of the process, and to build it along the way such that voices can be heard and increase the opportunity and the chance of it being successful at the far end. If there isn't an effort made to listen and acknowledge different views along the journey, there's a real risk that at the end someone, a council or two, won't see themselves properly represented at the end, and then everyone's obligation to get this work done is stymied. So I think it's just trying to reflect a style of operating where there's a lot of effort needed to get consensus, because in the end, all 11 councils have the obligation to create the plan.
Brad?
Just to add to that, it is a legislative requirement to have the unanimous. It has to be unanimous, or there has to be no opposition to each step. So it's in the planning bill how that has to work.
So I guess that was my question. Are we setting ourselves up to fail? That seems a very big ask.
Yes, it's unfortunately not a choice.
Councillor Hooper, did you have a question? You're okay. Okay, we have...
I've got one question, please.
Yep.
When I read through the standing orders, and I'm frantically trying to find it, I read through it, it said that the alternate, if the person isn't there, the alternate cannot vote in the standing orders. It's on page 41 or 42
The
somewhere.
standing orders, or do you mean the terms of reference?
Beg your pardon, the terms of reference, beg your pardon. And I just can't see it now in there, but it's in there where it says will not accept the alternate. Anyway.
We'll have to find that.
If I put an alternate, it might come up under...
The intention around an alternate was that the person who goes on this committee, that there needs to be consistency of membership and contribution. So what the Mayoral Forum didn't want was there to be a succession of alternates that were different people.
Okay.
If someone was unavailable, and they're starting from scratch every time they go to a meeting. So it's to be a named alternate.
I've found this.
I found it too, yes.
Yeah, so a member of the Spatial Plan Committee appointed by the Minister does not have voting rights.
No. Voting, point 37, voting should be on the basis of the majority present at the meeting with no alternates or proxies.
Uh.
Have you found it, Hamish? Page 42.
I've just found it.
Yeah.
Page 42.
Point number 37.
We can clarify that for you.
Well, I think that's important.
Yeah, my recollection of the discussion was that the alternate would be a fully fledged member as long as they were named and a relatively regular attendee. I wonder whether that's the same alternate. I wonder if there's
maybe, but it needs clarification.
Proxies as well, so we can definitely I understand your point. We'll clarify.
Thank you.
Okay, we have the recommendation there, Councillor Ellis.
Thank you. I'm happy to move 1 through to 12 and inserting appoints the Mayor as the District Council's representative and appoints the Deputy Mayor as the alternative.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Gilbertson? Any debate? No, I'll put...
Just part of this, I'd like to make sure that we do, before we have the first meeting, we have a process set up to report back so that it's not left whoever's there hanging in the wind as it was, because they're quite an intimidating crowd, this lot, so we need to make sure that Mid-Canterbury Inc. is well represented and is well reporting back.
We can definitely do that, yeah. Councillor Gilbertson, speaking for the motion.
Yeah, I speak for the motion. It's good to get spatial planning moving forward because I know that there are parts of the Ashburton district that require a new solution looking forward. Further to Councillor Wilson's point, it would also be good having clarity over how we feed in, not just out, so that we know that we're doing the best for the Ashburton district.
Thank you. Councillor Ellis, right, a reply? No, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, aye. Against, carried. Thank you. Thanks, Brad. Thanks, Ian. Just 1 minute. Thank you. We will go now to item number 12, which is end of year non-financial performance report, and we have Mark and Tony to go through this. So is there anything you want to sort of, an overview or anything you want to add, or happy for us just to go through the report?
Generally happy for you to go through it. The water services, drinking water quality measures, you'll notice aren't there, so they're going to the Water Services Committee at the end of the month, I think. So this includes all of our LTP performance measures, including the results from the annual survey that you just heard about. Overall, it's a pretty good result for council in terms of what we've achieved and what we haven't achieved. And in terms of hitting most of our targets, but obviously there's always reasons for why we might not meet those, which are highlighted throughout the report.
Thank you. Councillor Everest, do you have a question?
Could I have my vote recorded against, please?
For the last one? Oh, okay. Yes, sure. Councillor Cameron.
I have a question on the rubbish. Can I go straight?
Well, I was actually going to go through, not almost page by page, but so is it okay? So we're on page 50, which is the summary results, and I'm just going to go through if you have questions on any of the summary, and then we will go to infrastructure services on page 55, 56. Any questions on wastewater on page 58? And great to see that there's so many ticks there. Councillor Everest.
Just going a bit fast for me, but 56, how do we decide that 720 litres a day is the, or less than 720 litres a day is the required average consumption, please?
Neil, do you want to answer that?
Yeah.
Oh, you've gone off. Okay.
Hello?
Yep.
There was a figure that was derived several years back, just based on the average consumption. I think it was based on 2.5 people in a household. It is something we are looking at revising, and particularly using, once we have more information from our meters, we can tailor that figure to our Ashburton District Council use.
I guess that was my question, is it, so you haven't, we don't have it related directly to Ashburton, it's an estimated figure only. Okay.
That's correct.
So councillors, we are on wastewater, page 58. Stormwater, page 60. Stockwater, page 61. Councillor Cameron.
I do want to talk about the rubbish, but now I'm going to talk about transportation on page 62. Is that all right?
That is fine.
We saw the survey results, and despite putting in unsubsidised money, the dissatisfaction with the roads seems to still be prevalent. And when we look at transportation here, and we're looking at council's unsealed roads, that's a miss as well. Do the officers, or through the chief executive, is there any answer to how to deal with that dissatisfaction? Primarily unsealed roads, because I take the mayor's implication earlier with regards to State Highway 1 and our own sealed roads. So I'd just like to ask about the unsealed roads.
Hamish?
I think over the last number of years, you've heard from your roading team that their estimate is that the network is about $5 million a year in maintenance short of ideal. $5 million a year short. So the real answer to the roading network and how people see it, the state of it, is more investment. And it's commentary that's made from Kaitaia to Bluff. It's made about the state highway network. It's made about local roads. There appears to be insufficient money in the system to deliver a roading network to the satisfaction of the users of the roading network. And the sad truth is that it's funded from road user charges and car registrations and whatever, and that is diminishing. The pool of money available is decreasing, not increasing. So it is a significant issue across the country.
So we put in, Ashburton District Council and the ratepayer in our community put in $3 million unsub. So that appeared to cause more dissatisfaction with the roads than it did with satisfaction.
No, I'd probably disagree that putting in extra money caused an increase in dissatisfaction.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm looking at this, I'm being facetious, you know.
I'll go to Neil. Did you?
I think just with reference to the unsealed road network satisfaction, the last 3 years we've certainly committed a lot of effort into the unsealed road network. There has been a gradual increase. The last year's result, the year before this last one, was exceptionally high, and we were quite surprised by that. So if you took out that last higher value, there is a gradual increase. So the figure that you've seen here, although it looks like a drop from the previous, it's pretty similar to the one 2 years ago. So looking back over 3-4 years, it is slowly increasing in unsealed.
Can I make an additional comment, one more quick comment?
Yes.
I take that point, Neil, but were we putting in unsub money 2 years ago?
Yes. What's the question, sorry?
It'd be 23,
significantly
24.
more. We always had a little bit because we were putting extra shingle
yeah.
on the unsealed network, unsubbed, but we increased the amount of unsubbed 2 years. We're going to the third year of that regime this year.
That's right, yeah. So we're talking this is last year. Yeah, yeah.
Councillor Wilson.
I'm pleased to see that the rural community, which is probably the ones that, if they're talking about more money spent on roads, I think that would come from the rural survey, so they're happy to see more money spent on roading, and that should help increase the satisfaction, because if you spend more money, you should get more value. But there's an observation that we don't spend any money on we don't do any more tar sealing. The network is what it is, and we're not increasing the size of the network. But I would understand that with land use change, the rural areas are growing. The production and the value of the land in a lot of these shingle roads is growing, so the usage of the shingle roads is probably growing. So if you use a shingle road more often, therefore you need more maintenance, or it deteriorates. If you get 5 new dairy houses on a road, they pay us more rates, but they actually the resources need to be spent on the road. So I think it's something that we need to understand the metrics of. The network is not just a stagnant thing, it's growing. With growth, you have to spend more money because of growth.
Neil?
Just to respond to Councillor Cameron's question about the additional money we put in, a large portion of the unsub has gone into our sealed network, not as much on the unsealed. So a big focus was on the potholes and on the sealed network.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions on transportation roading? No, we'll move to page 64, which is waste reduction and recovery. Councillor Cameron, you had a question on that?
Thanks, Phil. Just about glass, what does that mean materially for our waste reduction and recovery? If we change from glass, which is heavier than cardboard, or a lot of things like wine and RTD drinks are now packed in lightweight aluminium cans, what does that actually mean? Do we need to first of all revisit these targets, but what does that mean going forward?
It is probably worth revisiting the glass quantities. We've noticed across the country that there seems to be a swing towards aluminium cans and less of glass, and that's reflected in these figures. So we perhaps should change that target accordingly.
And then presumably that means we don't take as much recycling north, would that be fair? In terms of weight?
Look at your mic, please. So
less recycling, yes. In terms of weight, of weight, yes.
No, I'm just conscious that Councillor Todd can't hear you if you're not speaking into your mic and looking behind you.
I was talking about the weight of the recycling, Tony, will be reduced because we're going to aluminium cans from bottles of wine or whatever.
That's correct, yes.
Yeah.
It sure doesn't appear to have heard.
No. Okay. Councillor Hooper, did you have a question?
Sorry, I was just going to ask about the measures, whether or not we need to change them overall for recycling because of the drop in glass. So maybe, it's not just glass, it's the whole recycling measure itself.
When do we get to change those? Is that...
We will. So through the LTP process, we'll be reviewing all of our performance framework.
So reviewing them through LTP.
Yep.
That's good, thank you. Any more questions on waste? Councillor Moffat.
I'd like to move on to red bins. I noticed that one reason for some dissatisfaction around the red bins that they're too small. But I understand that you can't swap the smaller red bin for a bigger red bin. You can only get another one and have two. Why can't you swap them?
Neil?
That's correct. So when they were introduced, the whole move was to try and reduce our waste to landfill and encourage more recycling. So we went for the 80 litre bin, and if anyone does need more, then they request an additional bin. But you can't swap.
So you can get a bigger bin, you just pay the extra for that bigger bin.
You think you should be able to swap, though? To me, it's like, why do you want two bins? You just want a slightly bigger one.
We're trying to minimise the amount of rubbish.
Okay, we'll move now to page 65, which is public services, community governance and decision making. And that's meeting targets, community grants and funding, and just those reporting forms. And I think we talked about that at the Methven Community Board meeting the other day, encouraging people to fill in those accountability forms, because it just means that when they come to applying for grants down the track, that will be considered. Page 66, economic development and commercial activities. No, I'm moving on to community services, page 67. Any questions on that? And good to see we're meeting all the targets there. Parks and open spaces, page 68. Councillor Wilson, you have a question?
Yes, I just see the number of hectares of neighbourhood reserves per 1,000 residents, is the target's 0.4. And we have 0.7, which is great, but we are in a rural environment, so it's not like you're in the middle of New York where more parks is good because there's nowhere else to go. You can go to the riverbed, you can go, many places you can go. And that huge, and then we're saying we're going to keep increasing, improving, expecting when construction of parks in the southwest of Ashburton is completed. So I feel like we're just making more and more parks, and we're above our metric. And that does equate through to open spaces bill getting bigger and rates going up. So there must be a relationship. You can't just keep making parks and not expect the bill to go up, because every time the subdivision, and we hear from open spaces, well, they've got to mow it, they've got to look after it, therefore they need more people and mowers. So I'm just interested to see those two metrics must be connected in some way.
Tony?
Thank you, Mayor Liz. In some ways they are, and in some ways they aren't, Councillor Wilson. So it's calculating the neighbourhood reserves throughout the district, and so that's where the metric that's looking at the number of hectares of neighbourhood reserve per 1,000 residents has been calculated across the district. So we can have some quite large open space reserve areas in quite small communities, which are contributing to that calculation. I think the first metric there around the percentage of urban areas within 400 metres of a park or an open space, that's the metric that's really related to your urban development, and that's where so that the reference is. That's where your development will be really starting to come into play, in terms of where we're accepting the opportunity to take green space for a new park where we have got areas where we don't have access to them. But our preference is not to accept if we don't need them. So we're certainly not in the game of taking green space for the sake of it. But we can revisit these metrics through the long-term plan if you'd like to pull levers in a different way.
Yeah, thank you. Page 69, so we're on recreational facilities. So first is Rockefeller, the Ashburton Art Gallery Museum. and great to see the numbers of visitors there. Next, page 70, Te Kete Tuhinga, the Ashburton Library, and again meeting targets, and then EA Network Centre on page 71, and incredible numbers through there. Councillor Cameron.
72, regulatory functions.
We are now, yep.
Thank you. Building consents. I think I've asked this question before. We were talking about building consents and that we weren't able to necessarily meet our key performance indicators on them, and we had contracted some out to third parties to manage the building consents. Have I understood that correctly? Hamish, please.
Ian? Oh.
Yes, certainly.
Yes. So I don't understand then why we haven't, are the third-party contractors not as efficient as we are? Like, why have we not met? Because we've missed it by a little bit, like we've gone backwards in our meeting them within 20 days.
Those contractors get busy too. There's not an endless well.
Okay.
So it depends on their availability as much as it does our own resources and workload. So there are times when the whole system can be pretty stretched.
Okay. I mean, the code of compliance is pretty much jolly well there, but the building consents are a big gap. And we haven't done that in the last couple of years. Do we need to, along with the solid waste, do we need to revisit that perhaps?
Well, they'll all be revisited at the long-term plan, but yes.
They're just noting there are some legal requirements as to this matter. It's not just a matter of lowering the goalposts to hit a target. There's legal obligations to achieve these things.
And that
need to revisit how we try and achieve them then, I guess.
Yes, I can think of a proposal you could consider.
So the target's 100% and the result is 93.3.
No, that's the one below it.
And the code of compliance is 99.1. Yep. Thank you. District planning, page 72 and 73. Emergency management, and we saw from the resident survey that was rated one of the highest activities. LIM, regulatory compliance on page 74. Any questions? Councillor Ellis.
Thank you. Urgent incidents. It's one of those ones, what's the definition of an urgent incident, isn't it? And I don't know how you fit that into, I don't know.
Ian?
Those are events that are classified as being things like rushings and attacks, the ones that could have serious harm.
Thank you. We are now, Councillor Moffat.
What's a medium and high risk licensed premise? I don't understand what that means.
Ian? That's at the top of page, or on page 74, under regulatory compliance. All medium and high risk licensed premises are monitored each year.
The risk of sounding glib, I believe it's effectively what it says. It's that if there is a higher risk to the members of the public from the activity, it is monitored more closely and regularly to make sure that everything that's required to be done is being done.
Thank you. That is the full report. We have a recommendation there that council receives the end of year non-financial performance report 2025-26. Councillor Todd, would you like to move that?
Yeah. Thank you.
A seconder, Councillor Hooper. Any debate or discussion? No, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. Thank you. Okay, councillors, we've got a couple more items in our open meeting. Then we have we're welcoming new and long-serving staff. So we'll just box on while we can, and just conscious that we do have some staff waiting here, but we shouldn't take too long. So next, we have the LocoDelegations review, and we have Sam and Tanya. And the report starts on page 76. Councillors, are there any questions on this report? And this is, I guess, amending the delegations. Any questions, councillors? No. There is a recommendation there that council adopts the changes to the LocoDelegations register as contained in Appendix 1. Would someone like to move that? Councillor Gilkison, Councillor Maxwell second. Any debate or discussion on that? Reasonably straightforward, I think. Okay, I will put the motion. All those in favour? Aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you very much. We'll next go to the item which is the one that's come through extraordinary business, and just invite Councillor Wilson to either speak now or put the motion forward and then write a reply if needed.
Thank you, Millers. Last week, Council discussed, debated and made decisions. We then acted and told the Minister of our decision to go into the backstop option. That time has passed. We are now faced with being in a submitted Head Start proposal with the South Canterbury Councils. We as the Council must acknowledge this conclusion. Saying we know about it is not enough. There is now a real chance we could be instructed by the government to engage in this southern amalgamation. We must start planning now. We will have the responsibilities of a unitary council, whether we like it or not. Our rural communities welcome this, as they believe they've received a bad deal under ECAN. We need to increase our advocating for the best interests of our community and to ensure we have a unitary council fit for purpose for our district. And from that, I'd like to put these two motions, with one motion, part A and B. The Council acknowledges the inclusion of the Ashburton District in the Head Start proposal put forward by the South Canterbury Councils. The Council continues to advocate for the best interests of the community with reform to ensure we have a unitary council fit for purpose for our district.
And you have that written out, so we can give to Philippa. Thank you. A seconder for that, Councillor Cameron.
Thank you.
I'd like to second that. Any debate? Speakers for or against? No. I will, Councillor Everest.
I'd definitely like to speak in favour of the motion. I certainly was keen to see a Northern Provincial Head Start program work in our debates previously and our submissions, but clearly that we didn't have support from others. Given that we've been included now in the South Canterbury proposal, I've certainly reconsidered my view, and I'm very supportive of working together with the South Canterbury collection. So that includes Waitaki, Waimate, Mackenzie and Timaru. I think that it's certainly going to be, as Richard has said, is going to be the best option for our community thinking forward. We have much in common with that group. And whilst the government is going to make a decision in terms of what Head Starts are in and out, and maybe in the next 2 to 3 weeks, I think it would be opportune for us, from my point of view anyway, to signal that we are or I am supportive of working together with those other 4 South Canterbury councils. So I'm in favour of moving forward on this and starting our Head Start proposal with them as soon as possible.
I'll take 3 speakers for and 3 against, just due to time. So, Councillor Gilkison.
Yeah, I speak in favour of this motion. I think it's good to look to the future, to get a seat at the table, to make sure that we are guiding the next steps as best we can. It was put forward by the community as the best option outside of unitary, so I'm happy to support this.
Councillor. Okay.
Or do you want to go to Tony?
Councillor Todd.
Do you want me to hang up then?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I also agree that we should be reaching out and making contact with our southern with the southern option. As I said before, we're better to be in the tent talking and outlining the issues that concern us. So I'm definitely in favour of reaching out and supporting this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Wilson, can you just read the motion again, just so, you've given it to, I'll read it. So, just so everyone's clear, that Council acknowledges the inclusion of Ashburton District in the Head Start proposal put forward by South Canterbury councils. That Council continues to advocate for the best interests of the community with reform to ensure we have unitary council fit for purpose for our district. So just wanted to make that clear. Thank you. Right, a reply, Councillor Wilson.
Yes,
you have to just put your letter.
Thank you for that, Mayor Liz. I acknowledge that we did make decisions the other day, which if we wanted to change those decisions, we have to revoke them through council. So that I'm not trying to supersede that, but I like the support I've had around the table to talk. And if we talk now, if we keep talking now, we hopefully end up with a better place for our community in the future. But the unitary one's a big one. We need to keep pushing that thing along because we're going to be unitary, and the more we learn, the more we know.
Yeah, and I will just speak to that, and we are open for discussions and have already had some councils reach out to us. So I guess where we are in the time frame now is we're waiting for direction from the ministers through Cabinet, and we have learned that that will be in 2 to 3 weeks, and we will hear what the future is of the Canterbury region. So thank you. I will put the motion. All those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you very much. We're just about 15 minutes behind, but we are going good. Is Katie here to welcome new and long-serving staff?
Yes, Madam. Yes, Madam Mayor, she is.
Okay, thank you. We will move on to that now. Hi, Katie. Thank you for waiting. We'll get you started and then, yeah.
Right, we have a number of new starters here today that I'd like to introduce to you. First up, we have Florence Zhang. Stand up, Florence. Florence has joined the finance team as a systems accountant. We also have Samantha Collins. Oh. She has joined us as the executive assistant to the chief executive. We also have Logan Lynn, and he has joined us just this week as a graduate planner. And finally, we have Luisa Veres, and she has joined us as a finance business partner for our water services.
Great.
Please join me in welcoming them to ADC. And for service recognition today, we have 3 employees. First up, we have Lisa Ward, who has been recognised for 5 years' service. So, Lisa is a highly respected member of the assets team, whose commitment in customer service is second to none. Whether she's out in the field reading water meters, tackling the less glamorous parts of the job, such as cleaning out the crud, or working behind the scenes to ensure everything runs smoothly, she approaches every task with professionalism and care. Her willingness to go the extra mile for both customers and colleagues is greatly appreciated. Thank you, Lisa, for your hard work, dedication, and the positive impact you make every day on our teams. Next up, we have Jess Eslava, celebrating 10 years service. Jess has been very much a valued member of our information systems team, progressing from help desk to her current role as senior systems engineer. Throughout her career with council, she has built deep technical expertise, becoming a trusted source of knowledge and support for colleagues across ADC. Jess has played a key role in delivering improvements to technology and systems we rely on every day, including helping deliver the technology and infrastructure for Te Whare Whakatere. More recently, her promotion to senior systems engineer recognised the skill, dedication, consistently high standards of work she brings to the team. She also generously shares her knowledge, helping support and develop our newer team members. On behalf of Gordon and Paul, thank you, Jess, for your commitment, hard work and contribution over the last 10 years. And finally, we have Justin Bloomfield, who's been recognised for 10 years service. Justin joined council in July 2016 as Operations and Services Officer in the Solid Waste team and became our Solid Waste Specialist in 2021. Over the years, he's become highly respected and incredibly knowledgeable member of the ADC team. In fact, what Justin doesn't know about waste management probably isn't worth knowing. Justin has played a key role in many significant projects, including the transition to wheelie bins in 2017, securing $860,000 in funding from the Ministry of the Environment, upgrading the Rakaia Resource Recovery Park, managing the Ashburton landfill rehabilitation, and overseeing the successful replacement of the landfill compactor ahead of schedule. He also represents councils on Canterbury's Regional Landfill Joint Committee and continues to make significant contributions through his expertise. Justin, thank you for your dedication, professionalism, and the difference you've made over the past 10 years. Please join me in congratulating him on his milestone.
Thanks, Katie. A special welcome to all the new staff. We look forward to having a chat shortly over a cuppa, and congratulations to the three for their long service. We know you do a lot of very hard work inside this council, so thank you very much. We will adjourn now for 15 minutes to have afternoon tea. Can I ask for someone to move that we go into committee? Councillor Ellis and Councillor Maxwell. All those in favour? Right. Thank you. Carried. Thank you. We'll break now.